Hello, everyone. This is Rick, and welcome to Astral Club. This is Secret Alien Craft Program. Before we get into it, just want to mention Patreon. If you'd like to support the work of Astral Club, you can certainly do so on Patreon. All you have to do is go down to the description section, and there's a link there. And when you join Patreon and support this channel, you get access to chats and direct mails and some other stuff, and it's a lot of fun. And if you're interested, just go down to the description and click on the Patreon link. Next up, astral projection lessons. If you'd like a lesson to learn how to astral project, be glad to work with you. I work with folks now all over the world. If you're interested, just go down to the description and send me an email asking for more information. Okay, this is a document that came to me through one of my patrons, Joseph, and it seems to be an abstract of a multi-year investigation into a variety of things, including alien craft. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to read some snippets from it, and I'll also have a link in the description section for anybody who wants to download this very interesting document. It starts with, this document is the result of a multi-year internal investigation into the subjects of unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs. That's what we call UFOs nowadays, UAPs. Technologies of unknown origin, or TUO, and non-human intelligence, or NHI. The investigation was undertaken in response to urgent and credible threats to public good and safety of the United States of America, and provided to Congress through the UAP whistleblower mechanisms established by the National Defense Authorization Act and the National Intelligence Authorization Act. The data consulted during this investigation and summarized in this report originates from non-public data held within the executive branch of the United States government. The author obtained access to this information while pursuing their lawful duties as an employee of the Department of Defense. The public version of the author's report was reviewed and approved for public release by the Department of State and the Bureau of Global Public Affairs. The results of this investigation are deeply disturbing. Elements of the U.S. executive branch have conspired to prevent the U.S. legislative branch from exercising its lawful powers of governance with respect to the UAPs, 2Os, and NHIs. The information provided by this author strongly suggests that the U.S. executive branch has been managing issues without congressional knowledge, oversight, or authorization for some time, quite possibly decades. This criminal conspiracy keeps the elected government of the United States and its citizens ignorant to profound discoveries and dire threats originating from the existence of UAP, NHI, and other intelligences and technologies. Unambiguous evidence demonstrating the reality of UAPs, NHIs, and 2Os have been made available to Congress by multiple independent UAP whistleblowers. This document is but one item of evidence brought to Congress. Much more exists and hopefully will be made available. All information in this report is derived from access to non-public information. Okay, it goes then to Section 1, Unacknowledged Special Access Program, Immaculate Constellation. Immaculate Constellation is an unacknowledged special access program established following the public disclosure by Luis Elizondo in 2017 of UAPs. Upon disclosure to Congress, it was determined that this information and its collateral data has been not lawfully reported to Congress. No kidding. They've been holding this stuff back forever. Immaculate Constellation's primary mission is to collect imagery intelligence on UAPs, once again, those are UFOs, ARV, RV, or reproduction vehicles, and utilizing task or untasked U.S. military intelligence resources. The non-human intelligence or UAP technologies, Immaculate Constellation, acts as a nexus for collecting, analyzing, and disseminating intelligence on these activities and locations of anomalous aerospace threats that originates from foreign or unidentified sources. The Intelligence Within Immaculate Constellation program primarily consists of high-quality imagery intelligence, or IMINT, governments love these abbreviations, and collateral measurement and signatures within Earth's atmosphere. The collection platforms involved are a blend of what they call task and untasked capabilities in low Earth orbit. In other words, they see these craft in low Earth orbit. The upper atmosphere as well, military and civilian aviation altitudes and maritime environments. So they see these craft everywhere, in the upper atmosphere, lower atmosphere, and in the ocean. This program, Immaculate Constellation, pays particular attention to anomalous aerospace platforms that have been developed through the study of acquisition of technologies unknown origin by foreign nations or unknown entities. So they're interested in technology that may be, claimed by Earth people and used in interesting ways. Apparently, this program shows that UAPs are operating around the globe, often in close proximity to sensitive foreign assets and locations, like military bases, for example. Remember the UAPs that I saw when I went on that Air Force base. I saw the what I consider scout craft. There was 2 scout craft, one of which seemed dead. The other one was still, might say, alive. And then I saw that cigar-shaped craft. Apparently, sophisticated internal information security controls are a major part of Immaculate Constellation, which enforces compartmentalization by detecting, quarantining, and transferring UAP imagery collection incidents before they are circulated within military intelligence. So they're taking this intelligence and they're compartmentalizing it immediately. That's one of the ways they prevent this information from getting out. In conclusion, Immaculate Constellation shows that the USG is not only aware of UAPs and 2Os, but also foreign state efforts to replicate UAPs and 2O capabilities. The data within this project, Immaculate Constellation, reveals the capacity of the U.S. Armed Forces and the military intelligence community to detect, track, identify, and engage anomalous transmedium platforms. Apparently, it also demonstrates our ability to detect and quarantine this information as well, which is one of the reasons that we can't get a hold of this information, because it's usually so closely held and compartmentalized. Let's see here. In Section 2, it talks about databases accessible to personnel with only appropriate security clearances and mission need. That's something a lot of people don't understand. Just because you have a high classification doesn't mean you get access to top secret information, for instance. I mean, I had a top secret clearance in the Air Force, but I also had a need to know certain information, and that's why I had access to it. But, that's why I had that one briefing that was really general about UAPs, because they interacted with missiles. And as a missile launch officer, I had a need to know about that. But anything else that I didn't have a need to know about would have been kept from me. So there's a lot of people, even with security clearances, if they don't have a need to know this information, it's kept secret from them. They then go on to talk about the full range of different types of technology we use to capture this information. Everything from typical photography to infrared, forward-looking infrared, full motion video, thermal imaging. Apparently, we do a lot of different types of ways of capturing this information. They then get into the various types of craft. For one they call CENTCOM, which is cuboid formation of metallic orbs. On USG networks, there exists daytime FMV and daytime FLR footage, different types of technology, imaging technology, of 12 metallic orbs skimming the ocean's surface at high speed before dispersing in multiple directions. The rapid and agile maneuvering of these metallic orbs was incompatible with known aerospace vehicles, and they were between 3 to 6 meters in diameter. Apparently, in the opening segment of this footage, the 12 metallic orbs flew in a tight cuboid formation. And the metallic orbs were 3 vertical square formations of about 4 orbs each, arranged in a 3-pronged configuration, creating the illusion of a cube shape at distance. All the orbs were white hot against the black cold ocean in this FLIR footage. So evidently the FLIR footage was thermal oriented. And each sphere created a faint atmospheric distortion, both around itself and a heat shimmer contrail. The metallic orbs moved in this cube formation over the ocean for some time before rapidly breaking formation as pairs. The sensor platform lost track of most of these metallic orbs as they ascended in altitude and accelerated in speed, but maintained observation on a pair of metallic orbs continuing the original trajectory of the larger formation. So these things are moving at a very high speed, and it's evidently because of our atmosphere. They are getting white hot, which is apparently not affecting any occupants. Okay, here's another one they're talking about. It's a large disk using clouds as concealment. On USG networks, there exists OPER footage, which is another type of imaging, of a large saucer-shaped UAP emerging from within a dense cloud formation. The saucer registered black hot against white cold, with the atmospheric disturbances caused by a saucer-shaped UAP. The saucer was between 200 and 400 meters in circumference and displayed symmetrical concavities on the upper surface. Wow, that is big. I saw scout craft in that hangar, but imagine that, 200 to 400 meters. That's got to be a mothership. That's enormous. And it was using, evidently, this dense cloud formation as cover. But apparently, the thermal imaging end of things was able to detect this thing. The saucer-shaped UAP emerged at a shallow angle, traveling upwards towards the outer atmosphere. After breaking above the cloud cover, the saucer-shaped UAP suddenly reversed its direction, descending partially back into cloud cover, then accelerating rapidly out of frame and partially obscured by the cloud tops. This behavior was evasive in nature and implied that the saucer-shaped UAP had become aware that it was under observation by a space-based collection platform. So evidently we were using one of our satellites to image this thing. Imagine trying to hide a 200 to 400 meter in circumference craft. Wow. I can just imagine if that thing was flying overhead. You'd look up and the thing would just cover the sky. That would be awesome. This is an interesting one. They talk about a quote, Jellyfish UAP that crossed the U.S.-Mexican border. Apparently, this UAP appeared in the FLIR footage again, this imaging footage, and it appeared as a modeled, and it was irregular with hot and cold emissions. It approximated a jellyfish or floating brain with hanging appendages in appearance. The UAP flew against the wind with no visible means of propulsion. It maintained an unnatural rigidity in its movements and flight path, and it maintained a comparatively low altitude to geographic features. In appearance and behavior, footage of this UAP violated the airspace of the southern border, and it resembled the same class of UAPs as observed near the Department of Defense facilities in Iraq and Afghanistan. Interesting. And they talk about that they have footage of this thing. How fascinating. A jellyfish-like craft. Then they get into various types of craft that have been observed. First is the sphere or orb. Spheres were the most reported shape, with variations ranging from smooth features or smooth featureless orbs to spheres with visible openings or appendages. These objects' prevalence suggests a possible standard in UAP design or function, capable of high maneuverability and speed. The diversity within the sphere category, spanning from simple polished appearances to more complex structures with appendages, suggests a broad range of purposes or technologies unique to the platform's mission and or originator. Disc or saucer-shaped UAPs, reported with or without domes, were the second most common shape reported. Flat saucers were reported as well, these being disc-like without pronounced domes. Traditional biconvex UAPs are also reported in the data. Then they have the oval or tic-tac. Oval-shaped UAPs were infrequently reported within the data set, and only after approximately 2003. These UAPs either maintained a uniform egg-like symmetry, occasionally tapered into a teardrop shaped, and the cylinders with convex ends also fall into this category. Occasionally, they feature visible protuberances on the top or bottom of the otherwise uniform platform. Then we have the triangles, and many people have reported those. Triangles were among the rarest UAPs reported in the data. Most of these sightings were equilateral triangles, occasionally with vertical stabilizers visible on the top of the UAP. Elongated isosceles types were also reported, occasionally with the same vertical stabilizers observed on an equilateral type. They then have a boomerang or arrowhead type. Boomerangs and arrowhead-shaped UAPs were also among the rarest reported. The boomerang UAPs exhibited bilateral symmetry with sweeping wings and a high aspect ratio. Those things always remind me of our stealth aircraft, you know. Arrowhead UAPs also showed bilateral symmetry, but possessed tapered wings and a low aspect ratio, typically with highly swept leading edges. Finally, they talk about an irregular or organic UAP. Irregularly shaped UAPs, those that defy simple geometric description, were among the rarest reporting sightings. Shape-shifting UAPs also appear in the dataset, typically having a spherical or disc-like base from which the irregular geometries are seen to project. Floating brain or jellyfish UAPs are present as well, characterized by a central mass from which multiple arms or spars hang downward. Finally, combined shapes were also observed, including cubes with spheres, ringed saucers, and various rectangular and cuboid forms. They then get into they organize the UFOs based on size, speed, signature, colors, surface details, behaviors, atmospheric phenomena, biological effect. And I don't want to get into all that. You can get into that yourself if you're interested. They then talk about some close encounters with a UAP and flight deck personnel. While on active duty in the Pacific, flight deck personnel working night duty experienced a close encounter with a spherical UAP of medium-large size. On-duty flight deck crew observed a small orange-red sphere maneuvering at a high altitude above the naval aircraft. Shortly after the first observation, the UAP descended from a high altitude to a position directly above the flight deck, approximately 100 to 200 yards above the flight deck. The UAP maintained that altitude and matched the speed of the Navy craft that was underway. I can only imagine what panic that must have been causing. The UAP emitted a soft orange-red light, which bizarrely did not illuminate the ocean or the flight deck, but it definitely had that luminosity to it. Eventually, the thing just buzzed away and left everybody kind of speechless. Let's see what else they have here. Okay, they talk about some historical records here, going back decades. Okay, the conclusion. The official disclosure of the existence of non-human intelligences and their presence on Earth is a pivotal moment in human history. The nature of this information is of such incomparable relevance to the public good that it demands to be shared. Hear, hear. Some may object and say the disclosure at this time poses too many risks. To them, it must be said that we will never be able to predict how individuals, families, communities, and nations will react to revelations of such magnitude. Moving forward, we must guard against the lure of authoritarian solutions justified by expediency and appeals to national security. The good in humanity will always triumph through time, and it is in moments of crisis that our capacities for achieving the extraordinary are discovered. Be not afraid. Okay, that is some excerpts of this particular document on this program, Immaculate. What did I call it again? Immaculate something. Anyway, it certainly sounds very interesting to me. We're getting more and more information released about these multiple alien craft that are constantly being sighted. So let's hope this Project Immaculate Constellation gets more news and more publicity. If you found that interesting, oh, and by the way, like I said, I'm going to have this PDF in the description so that you can download it yourself if interested. Once again, I want to thank Joseph from Patreon for linking this document for me so that we could use it and we can spread it throughout Astral Club. If you're interested, like I said, just go down to the description and download it. If you like this piece, the like button, share it with like minds. Subscribe if you haven't already. Comments and questions, you must have them. Should we hide this stuff? Should the government keep it from us, or should we be introduced to the reality of these UAPs and these non-human intelligences? What do you think? Let me know. This is Rick, and as always, I will see you on the astral plane.